Hello, and welcome to all of our listeners around the province of British Columbia and around the world. We're glad you can join us for our first webinar in the Immigrant Services Society of BC Impact Project. So this project is being provided with funding from the Ministry of Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training in the province of BC. Just to let you know a little bit more about Impact, this is who we are. IMPACT stands for Immigrant Pathways to Alternative Careers in Technology. I'm Gwen Polakowski, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Now, during the next hour, or approximately that amount, during the next hour, I will have two guests. I'm fortunate to have Mark Rigolo. He is the Associate Director of Admissions at APEG BC, and that stands for the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of BC. Now, also with us is Jeff Sale. He is the manager of the Internationally Trained Technology Professionals Program from IRST BC. And that acronym stands for the Applied Science Technologists and Technicians of BC Association. So welcome to both of you. So glad that you could join me.
Glad to be here.
Okay. Now,
hello.
Jeff is just coming with us from another source here. So welcome, Jeff. All right. Both of you have spent your careers involved with differing aspects of engineering teams. Mark, can you explain your role and what APEG BC does?
Certainly. APEG BC was founded in 1920, and it was founded to regulate and govern the engineering and geoscience professions under the authority of the Engineers and Geoscientists Act of BC. And the association is charged with protecting the public interest and by setting and maintaining high enough academic experience and professional practice standards for all of our 33,000 members. We're a nonprofit organization governed by a council of elected members, licensees, and government appointees. And our council is held accountable to the public through the Ministry of Advanced Education and to the members of both for both governance and management of our association.
Okay, so why are engineer positions regulated?
In Canada, these professions, both the engineers and the geoscientists, are regulated mainly to safeguard public safety. The professions, like other professions in BC and Canada, but we're focused on engineers and geoscientists. The work that's done by these people has a profound impact, or can have a profound impact on public safety, both in terms of, if you think of civil engineers who are in charge of designing buildings, high-rises, car parks, to geoscientists who are responsible for analyzing core samples in mines and providing estimates of the amount of ore or precious metal in the mine. Those have impacts on public safety, both directly and indirectly, in terms of financial issues and that sort of thing. So that's why these professions are regulated by the provincial government. Each province across Canada has their own regulating body in terms of these professions, and there is an overall coordination through Engineers Canada.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Now, Jeff, your work is related to technologists and technicians, and can you tell me about your role?
Yeah, my role, Gwen, and hello, everybody. I'm a technologist. I'm with ASTTBC, as Gwen's told you, that's the Applied Science Technologists and Technicians of BC. And we're the people who represent graduates from the diploma programs rather than degree programs that Mark has told you about that the engineers require. My role within the ASTTBC is to liaise with the internationally educated technologist community, and very often that means people who've been educated overseas and probably have a degree in engineering. So that's what I do is I usually go around to locations around the Lower Mainland and talk to those groups of people and explain to them what their options are when it comes to professional recognition and having their credentials actually recognized. And both Mark and I are very interested in helping people have their credentials recognized and very much not being a barrier to that recognition.
Thanks, Jeff. So just to confirm, engineers work in regulated positions or occupations, but technologists, technicians, and technical specialists generally work in non-regulated occupations, but they can receive professional recognition through AST/TBC. Is that correct?
That's correct. What we tell people is that technologists, technicians, and others work inside the box. That's according to prescribed engineering practice and looking after all codes and standards, whereas engineers are free to work outside that box if they wish to work outside the codes of standards, codes that regulate our buildings, our roads, everything about our society. They are equipped to do that and can take on that responsibility.
Okay, thank you. All right, now let's move forward. I'd like to take an example of a newcomer who has found an alternative career that's somewhat in his field. But I think with suggestions from the two of you, he might find his next career step. So let me tell you his story. I'm just going to put up his slide here. Okay, there we go. So this is Flint Chen, and he's given us permission to share his photo and his story. He immigrated to Canada from China in February of 2012. In China, he had worked as an engineer and a manager. And if we look at his LinkedIn profile, we'll see that he has a bachelor's degree in electrical and telecommunications engineering, and also a postgraduate degree in power engineering. Since coming to Canada, he's mainly focused on learning English. This has probably taken him a little bit more time than he expected it would. But nevertheless, he's been working on it, and he's networked with a lot of friends, and he's interested in finding a break in the market, looking for sort of a business or technical work related to engineering. He's looked into Work BC, he's sort of surveyed the Indeed.com site. He's seen what kinds of positions are needed. He also has a network of friends who are working across the country. Now, one of them suggested that he should take the test for being an electrician. So he did. In August of 2015, he passed the test. So now, occasionally, he does electrician work around the Lower Mainland. So this is an alternative career. Oops, sorry about that. This is an alternative career. Hello, Jeff. Just welcoming you. Good to see you. Jeff just joined us via the Real Hangout. So here we are. Okay. So, but let me get back to Flint. Flint has taken his electrician training, and he's now kind of looking to use more of his skills. So, Jeff, what would you suggest that Flint should do?
Can you hear me through this mic?
Yep, loud and clear.
Great. Okay, I think Flint has already taken a huge step in getting recognized as an electrician. That's not easily done, and without having gone through a 4-year apprenticeship. I congratulate him for his initiative and his drive to make that happen. I would think that he needs to do several things. Firstly, perhaps make sure that he's going to meetings and having access to networking opportunities, probably through Site BC. That would be a really good place to start. Obviously, if he's contacted ISS of BC, he's already been through the job finding operations that Site offers. There are another couple of places that he could go to look at non-engineering opportunities, such as quality assurance, such as project management, and also look for connections through the IECBC, which is the Employment Council of BC, Immigrant Employment Council of BC. They have an excellent program called Connector, which if you join it, 5 people will give your name to 5 of each of their associates, and your networking spreads out much more quickly than you could do it by yourself. But the other trade associations are very active in Vancouver. The American Society for Quality, for instance, Vancouver chapter is on the web, and as the Project Management Institute for the West Coast, both of those organizations utilize a lot of the skills and training that anybody educated in any of the engineering disciplines will have. So he should certainly look into those. Last thing, look for informational interviews with electrical engineering consulting companies. You might have to knock on some doors to do that, but looking for those informational interviews is probably a very good way to get your foot in the door of one of those organizations. Great.
Thank you, Jeff. Mark, what's your idea?
Well, if Flint wishes to pursue a career as an engineer here in BC, he should look at getting his license as a professional engineer through APEG BC. And our process is online. And what we do when we evaluate an applicant for PEng status, we look at 5 major elements. First, the academic qualification. We're looking for the equivalent of a 4-year engineering or science degree. We're looking at the engineering experience. We're looking for 4 years of engineering experience after graduation, with at least one of those being in Canada or in a Canadian environment. We look to administer a professional practice exam. There's a law and ethics seminar that the applicant has to attend. And then there is a good character requirement. We look to make sure that the applicant hasn't been convicted of a crime or been actioned as a member of a professional association anywhere else in the world. The time to process all of this depends on the circumstance of the individual, but on average it's about a 4 to 6 month process once we received all the documentation. And so all this information is available on our website, apeg.bc.ca. And the actual application fee to do this is $472.50, including taxes.
Thanks, Mark. Just curious, what percentage of applicants actually don't complete their relicensing?
That's a bit of a difficult question to answer. Applicants change direction partway through the process for many different reasons as they find out the types of requirements necessary, or they may find other avenues of pursuit. If anyone out there has some concerns about whether they would qualify for relicensing in BC, we have an online self-assessment tool which was designed to assist internationally trained professionals who are trying to enter the engineering or technology fields in BC. We developed this tool with our friends at IRST BC and the BC Ministry of Jobs, Tourism and Skills Training. And this is also on our website. I see you've put it up so the audience can see. This is a really easy tool to use. It's designed to help applicants figure out whether they should pursue a career in an applied science technologist technician field with certification through IRST BC, or as a professional engineer with registration through APEG BC.
Okay, Mark, I think I have also a slide just with the addresses, so let me put that up briefly here too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. All right, so those are the exact addresses of the assessment tool that you mentioned. Okay, Mark, there's also another thing, and that is the provisional membership that is sometimes offered to applicants who don't have that Canadian experience requirement. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. The provisional membership was established January 1st in 2004. It's optional. You don't have to have it, but it is designed to provide a tool for internationally trained engineers to alert potential employers that all their qualifications have been recognized by APEG BC, except for the fact of having this 1 year of experience in a Canadian environment. So an applicant must apply for a PN status, and once we ascertain all the other requirements are met other than this 1 year of experience, if the applicant wishes to have a provisional membership, we can grant that. And as I say, this is a tool to help internationally trained engineers communicate to potential employers that all of their qualifications have been met other than gaining this 1 year of experience in a Canadian environment.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Jeff, should Flint contact your organization at the same time, or if he does, what assistance should he ask for?
We would suggest that he first contacts APEG and looks for his registration. If it's going to be if it will take too long with APEG, for instance, if APEG decides that he needs another 4 or 5 exams, or 2 or 3, or has not got the right professional experience that would qualify him to be a professional engineer, then he can come to IRST and look for registration. Our experience requirements obviously would be less rigorous than the professional engineers require, and the time to register him as a technologist, which in his case I think would be very likely, would be only 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, you mentioned that he has quite a lot of options, right? That there are a lot of possibilities that are open to him, because by getting his electrician's ticket, he's really proven quite a lot.
He has indeed. He's proven that he's got very good practical skills as well as theoretical skills he got through his engineering education. And in today's society, that kind of a range of abilities should be a very highly valued situation. He should be able to find work pretty quickly, I would think.
Okay. A lot of the people who kind of self-identify as engineers, when they come to Canada, turn out to be technologists. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes, indeed. Well, again, the professional engineers have that ability. They have a license to practice engineering, which presupposes that they can work outside the scope of limits set by codes and standards, should they wish to. It also implies that they can take professional responsibility for large projects and designs. Some people might decide that's not for them. They don't particularly want that kind of very high responsibility, and would prefer to work in one might say more routine jobs. I myself worked in a quality assurance function and production management for 35 years, and made a very good living, had a very good time doing it. And being as we're talking really about alternate career possibilities for people who've been trained in engineering, QA is certainly one of those. all through the engineering field, there are many others. For instance, being a technical representative of a company is quite common. You have to be able to talk to clients, and you have to be able to do sales pitches. You have to be able to address conferences, a lot of those kinds of things, all together with a very deep understanding of the product or service you're representing. So that's really not professional engineering in the sense that Mark would require it to be. However, it is an alternate career path for a lot of people in the engineering field.
Okay. So how does the technologist or technician route provide alternate career opportunities for newcomers, Jeff?
Well, we technologists, we say we have a right to title and not a right to practice, whereas trades and engineers have a right to practice. Ours is a right to title. Our practice is not limited and not regulated. So my ASCT designation would tell a prospective employer that I have met a certain level, an understood level of education and work experience. They don't have to do that background check on me. I'm a technologist. They know what I am, what I can do. The difference largely between a technician and a technologist, even if one has a very high level of education, whereas a technician spends much of their time working, doing work which is directed by other people and from other documentation. Whereas a technologist would have to spend a considerable amount of their time, as do engineers, producing new and original documentation, be that procedures, drawings, interpreting codes and standards, and doing research to write technical reports. That's not required of technicians generally.
Okay, if someone is going to get evaluated by ASTTBC, normally how long does it take?
We're looking at roughly anywhere from 2 to 4 months, and the determining factor very often is how long it takes the technical references to reply. That's the people who have to verify that you are who you are and you can do what you've told us you can do, and that your education is what you've said it is. And if those people drag their feet, then it can take as long as it takes. But very often we can have people completed their application and be registered within 3 months.
Okay, and how much does it cost?
I think the original price is about $325 for the application, and somewhere around $400 a year. Maybe a little less than that. I should look it up closely. I think it's less.
Well, that would all be on your website, right? So no worries.
Yeah.
Okay. And what types of courses do newcomers usually need to take to complete the process?
The only courses that they have to take would be the professional practice exam. And for engineering, Mark will tell you that beyond professional practice, you also have to take a law and ethics exam for APEG. But for ASTTBC and the others across Canada, it's really just a professional practice and ethics exam. It's less onerous than the professional engineering law and ethics exam. Other than that, there is no requirement. But we do very often ask people to give us a technical report that they have written. Maybe sometimes it's a thesis that they've produced, just to prove that they can get by in English, they are able to write technical reports, and they know the process to do the research, gather the information, and display it and communicate with other people in the business.
Jeff, you bring us to a very interesting topic right now, and that is English and English communication. So let me go over to Mark here. Mark, communication skills, what's needed for registering with APEG?
Well, that's a very important question, and communication skills, written, verbal, and reading comprehension are very, very important. They're key competencies that we look for in every applicant for an engineering license. We look at this in different different ways. We need English skills in terms of communication beyond what is a normal conversation like we're having right now. There's a lot of technical language. There's a structure to the argumentation that you would use in presenting technical aspects. So that's what we're kind of looking for. And many newcomers do possess these skills, despite it being their second language or even their third language. So when we assess an applicant, we look at this in several ways. Applicants are required to report their experience, engineering experience, in written form, either through our competency assessment system or the more traditional experience reporting system. And what we look for there is not just the technical experience, but how is the applicant communicating their technical experience to us? Is it well written? Is the language appropriate for somebody in that position that they're trying to get licensed? Is the thought process logically laid out on paper? Is the argument backed up by facts? Is it the type of writing that we would expect from a licensed engineer? And how well are they presenting this? And there's also we also have interviews, face-to-face interviews, where we look for, again, the technical aspect of what the applicant does, but also how well do they present their argument verbally. And so communication is a very key skill, not just for engineers, licensed engineers, but technologists, technicians. We all work as part of a team. We need to communicate information backwards and forwards, upwards and downwards, all across an organization. To technical people, non-technical people, and so the ability to clearly communicate a technical idea so that others can understand it and make decisions on that information is absolutely crucial for us.
Okay, Jeff, I guess that the situation is quite similar. Regarding technologist jobs or technician jobs, is there anything different about English communication needs?
Nothing whatsoever. Engineers, technologists, technicians, and even tradespeople, most of the time, always need to be talking together. One of the things that we really emphasize is the ability to communicate for purposes of safety on the workplace site, especially. I would think we say that we need a CLB 7 as a guideline, and CLB is the Canadian Language Benchmarks. And if anybody is really not sure where they are in English, I'm very sure that ISS either pays for or can provide the assessment of the CLB level for clients. Again, the level 7 is really a starting point, but that would guarantee us that the applicant can read and write and hear and speak in sufficiently good English to not be a threat to other people's safety in the workplace. One of the instances that we point out considerably is that everybody must be able to, for instance, read and understand WHMIS documentation, the Workplace Hazardous Information Documentation System. So that's very important from our point of view. And of course, we just said that they, for technologists and definitely for engineers as well, they have to be able to research and generate technical reports, procedures, understand procedures, and more be able to do CAD drawings using computer-generated graphics. Use a CAD program like AutoCAD or any of the other big design tools. That's also becoming pretty much a requirement for any technologist or engineer.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jeff. That gives us really a lot of great information for Flint and other engineers. I think, too, that we need to mention that neither APEG BC nor ASTT BC are involved with helping newcomers find jobs, but organizations like ISS of BC are absolutely involved in helping people find work in all kinds of ways. And I know one of the most important messages that you'll hear when you go to organizations like ISS of BC is about the visible and hidden job market, right? That, there are a certain number of jobs that you see advertised, but like an iceberg, there are many, many more that are kind of under the water that you would never see advertised on an internet job site or in other places like that. And usually there are many, many more jobs. Sometimes the breakdown is like 75% hidden compared to 25% visible. Sometimes it's even greater with a much higher percentage in the hidden job market. So organizations like ISS of BC can really help newcomers to tap into that hidden job market. Mark, just back to you. For newcomers who are coming to Canada and coming to British Columbia, and still need time or are still deciding about whether they're going to pursue their professional engineering credential or whether they'll choose an alternative career, what can they do right away to get working in technology?
Well, I think technical skills are definite assets. There's many positions that require technical skill that can be filled. I've worked with many internationally trained professionals that have taken other jobs in the engineering team as a step in to a technical career in Canada, or as an alternate career. The case of Flint is an interesting one. I've worked in many places in my career where a lot of the technicians in the company had advanced engineering degrees or science degrees from outside of Canada, and took a technician position or an assistant position to get in the door, gain experience, and a lot of them are able to prove their skill and move into other positions similar to ones they might have held elsewhere. Others choose to stay in these careers because they are rewarding. They provide interesting work, challenging work, and they work as part of a team that they enjoy. I also look at in my role as working in terms of admissions here at APEG BC. I see many foreign-trained engineers who, when they present their work experience, you can see a clear progression where they took an entry-level position, whereas in their country of origin they had a much higher level position, but they took a step back to kind of reboot themselves back into a technical career. And so sometimes it pays to start off at a position that you might consider not equal to what you had where you came from, and then gain your experience that way.
Okay, thanks. Jeff, I want to go back to you just to sort of review one of the slides that you talked about earlier, and that was the one about sort of recommendations that you had. And sorry, I know you're not expecting this, but you gave 4 recommendations that would be really great for newcomer engineers to take advantage of once they came to Canada, and those were related to the Connector program and Site BC. Can you just touch on those 4 recommendations for us as we kind of come to the close of our webinar?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Site BC is an organization which was started for and by internationally trained engineers, which SITE stands for Society of Internationally Trained Engineers of BC. And actually, they are quite happy to take technologists and technicians as well now. And we support SITE and have worked with them very closely. They're a dynamic organization. They have great meetings, and that sitebc.ca is where anybody can go right now and see what's coming down the pike, what meetings they have planned. We've been working with them to actually improve that website, and that's going to be done in the next few weeks. The Connector program from IECBC, the Immigrant Employment Council of BC, is very strong. They also have a tremendous mentor program, and I know that Marco, the engineers have your own mentorship program administered by APEG, but IECBC's program really reaches out to all the self-defined engineers who come to all the immigrant service associations around the Lower Mainland, and they can apply for mentors to the IECBC website. In addition to that, there's the Connector program, which we described a little earlier, which is a much quicker operation than a one-on-one mentor. And that's really to build very quickly, see if we can build a network for you that's going to find work anywhere in the industry. The trade associations, we talked about the American Society for Quality, Vancouver chapter, very active, and also the Project Management Institute for the West Coast, also very active, and they might lead you to other places as well. There's lots of other organizations which are strong. What I haven't said on here is that there are a large number of very active ethnic associations, such as SPEAT, S-P-E-A-T, BC, the Society for Punjabi Engineers and Technologists of BC. They are a huge group. There's a very large Iranian operation, a Society for Iranian Professionals, of which engineering is simply one of the components. There is the Filipino Construction Association, and we can put those up on the ISS of BC website at any time, or go to ITTPBC, which is a website that we operate just for immigrant engineers and technologists, that lists all these opportunities and locations. So the last thing we talked about as well was the informational interviews that we should and really recommend that people seek out from engineering consulting companies, and probably also from manufacturing companies, because engineering is needed in all manufacturing situations at all levels, from professional engineering to technology to technician to trades. But those ones really would encapsulate the whole lot, I think.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jeff. That's a very comprehensive set of recommendations. Mark, you gave us some good ideas as well about the great, satisfying careers that are available on in various aspects of technology and engineering. I think at the moment we are going to open up to some audience questions. So if you have if you have a question that you'd like to ask us, you can hopefully go ahead and press your Q&A button, and we should be able to see the question that you have to ask. We also received some questions ahead of time, so let me ask those questions as well. So Mark, I'm going to start with you. There was a question for you about APEG, and let me just ask it. Does APEG require proof of graduation? So that would be something like a transcript. Do you require that to be sent directly from an applicant's home university?
Yes, we do. We do have a requirement for an official transcript with a degree conferral on it. The preferred method is that it be sent to us directly from the university to APEG BC. We can also accept them either as a hard copy, or we do have some capability of accepting soft copies if the sending university is capable of doing that. However,
go ahead.
However, we do realize that there are many cases, especially with foreign-trained engineers, where obtaining a transcript is impossible. The university has changed. It's been, everybody has fled, or whatever the case might be, that makes the circumstances impossible to receive an original transcript. And we have ways of dealing with that. And they're on a, we'll have to take a look at them on a case-by-case basis, but generally we can make use of affidavits where you come in and swear to the fact that the copy of the transcripts that you do hold is correct, and that you have actually completed the courses on it, and we go from there. So we have ways of accommodating situations where there is genuine inability to obtain the transcripts.
Just another question too, is it something that people could kind of take care of pre-arrival? So for people who are watching this webinar and they may still be in their home country, can they, or should they try to set things up ahead of time with their home university?
Yes, that can be done. Certainly, we do accept transcripts from what would be considered pre-applicants, people who haven't actually applied for an engineering license. The thing to take in mind in doing that is that engineering and geoscientist professions are regulated on a province-by-province basis. So if you are set on coming to British Columbia, you know that that's where you're going to go, then by all means do so. But if you are intent on coming to Canada but not sure which province, sending us a transcript and you only have the one that you can get may make it a little bit trickier for you if you go and apply, say, in Alberta or Manitoba. A better strategy in that case would be to obtain the transcript, bring it with you, and in that case we would go through the affidavit process.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Jeff, there's a question for you as well. You did touch on this during the webinar, but let's go through it one more time, and that is, what is the difference between a technologist and a technician?
Okay, there are two primary differences, and if we look at just people's education, the minimum educational standard for a technician is a one-year certificate of technology, typically from a college like the British Columbia Institute for Technology or Camosun College or any of the other community colleges or polytechnics that offer that kind of opportunity. The 1 year typically will give the graduates a huge amount of primarily technical information and rely a lot on the math and the science they would have been able to achieve in high school up to the highest level in high school, up to pre-calculus. For technologists, we say the minimum academic requirement is a diploma of technology, which BCIT and the others in BC offer as a 2-year program. And in a lot of the other provinces in Canada, that turns out to be a 3-year program, but the outcomes are identical. So people coming to us with degrees certainly meet most of those requirements. And the technician and technologist and engineer, therefore, could have the same education. It could be, we have people who are working as technicians who have engineering degrees. And as far as work experience goes, those people are mainly doing maintenance, commissioning, installation, repair, those kinds of tasks at a very, usually at a very complex level. For a technologist, what they can do that a technician is not expected to do is write reports, write new information, write procedures, conduct investigations, and document those investigations with technical reports. We don't really expect our technicians to be able to do that, whereas a lot of them obviously can, because that was part of their education. But they have chosen a job that does not include any original work, I might say. So that would be the primary slicing level between technicians and technologists from a work experience point of view, and also from an educational point of view.
And just from a sort of writing point of view, the technician job would have a lot less writing, whereas the technologist a lot more.
Yes, a lot less writing, but for a technician, of course, the writing is keeping the records of what they have done, and going through the regular business operations of the company they're working for. That's a given. Everybody has to do that, whether you're a member of our organizations or not. But to do technical reports, that's considered one step up, and absolutely crucial for engineers, of course.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, it appears that those are the 2 questions that we've received. If you're listening or watching and you do have additional questions, please feel welcome to send them. You can send them to me, Gwen, and you can reach me at the ISS of BC Impact email address, and I'll give it to you right now. It's ISSBC Impact, IMPACT, well, almost missed the letters there, at gmail.com. And I think now we'll need to wrap up for today. So I'd like to thank our guests, Mark Rigelow from APEG BC, and also Jeff Sale from ASTT BC. And I just have a slide to say thanks to the 2 of you. Thank you so much for sharing all of the information in this webinar. It's really, really helpful. And to audience members, if you have additional questions, you can always contact us through the ISSB website or the email that I mentioned. So Mark and Jeff, thanks again so much.
You're very welcome.
It's been a great pleasure.
Yeah. Everyone else, thanks for watching, and we're all finished for today. Okay. Bye for now, everyone.